Now today we're going to talk about how to organize all that paperwork you finally got decluttered. Coming up next. Hi everybody, my name is Dee Burks and this is Retirement Rescue, where we talk about how to make money, save money, and create a retirement from nothing. Well, in the last part of this video, we talked about decluttering your paperwork and what was essential for you to keep. But in this video, we're going to talk about how to organize those things in one place where you know where everything is and can immediately put your hands on it. It is so frustrating to need something, whether that be a car title, an insurance policy, a birth certificate, and not be able to find it. It's so irritating. And one of the reasons that we find that we don't really have everything in one place is we're really not sure how to organize those things and get them down to a small enough volume to be in one place. But there are lots of good reasons that you really need to have your important paperwork organized. Number one, if you have to leave your home on short notice, whether that's a fire in your home, whether that's a flood in or near your home, there are occasions where you might need to grab everything and go. Well, if your paperwork's all over the place, that's going to take a lot of time and energy, and odds are you're going to forget things that you really need. So by having it all in one file box, it makes it easy to bug out should you need to go. A lot of us live in areas that are prone to natural disasters. I live in an area where there are often forest fires and we could be evacuated. It's happened before. So that is one reason I choose to do that. I used to live in an area that was prone to tornadoes. Same thing. If you've got to grab it and go, hey, you got to go. A lot of people live in areas that are prone to hurricanes. They're prone to flooding. They're prone to other sorts of natural disasters like earthquakes. You never know when you might be given minutes to grab things and go. So it's always a good idea. You also never know when something's going to happen to you. And if someone came into your home completely unaware and were trying to help you, or after the fact, go through your things and figure out what was where, if it's all consolidated in one place, it's so much easier on those people you leave behind. So let's talk about this. Now here again, with this video, just like in the last one, I'm going to be telling you what I do and why I do it. You do you. And so if you have a different system, that's great. But this is what I do, and I'm going to walk you through how I organize things. But I'm going to tell you up front, this is completely different from the way we were taught to file in high school or college. You know, back then you're taught, and still many people are taught to file. Everything has its separate file. Oh, every company has a separate file. Every different type of event has a separate file. You have all these files, which is one of the reasons we don't like to file. It's a pain. Well, I have super simplified my quote filing process. It's really not even a filing process, but what I do is I have one file that says bills paid. And we talked in the last video about how I keep the statements I get in each month, the ones that are paper, and I write how they're paid. If they're paid online, if they're paid via check, and I write the check number. Everything that comes in that month, I put together with a little banker's clip. It looks like this, one of these little clips. Okay, this is a full month, and you can see it's not much. It's not much. Once you get rid of everything they send you, all the special offers, all the newsletters, so many utility companies even send out newsletters, and all kinds of junk they send you, and you get down to just the statements like this, it's very few. So I put them all in one banker's clip for 1 month, and I file them one after another. I don't really mark which one is January, which is February. I can look and see that if I ever need to access them, which I usually don't. But if something goes unpaid, of course I would need to access it. If I needed a utility bill to prove residency or adopt a pet, of course I would be able to access it, and it's easily accessible. So I do that 1 month after the other. Like I said in the last video, at the end of the year, all of these, they get shredded. And I start over for the next year. So that file doesn't just accumulate and accumulate. At the very most, it has a year's worth and a couple months extra, depending on when I file my taxes, worth of monthly bills. And that's all that's in that file. And they're all in one file. Everything I pay that month is in one file if I get a monthly statement. Now, we also talked about things like legal actions. If you have legal determinations of any kind from a court case, then you would want to keep that too. But I keep them all in one file. You don't keep everything from that court case. You just keep the final determination. So if it's a bankruptcy, you keep your final determination of that bankruptcy. If it was let's say you had a workers' comp claim and it went to court, you would just keep the final determination. If it was a legal suit of some kind personally, then you would just keep the final determination. Those things you do need to keep, but you'll almost never access them, but you do need to have them. So I put them all in one file. Why have a separate file for everything if you're rarely going to access it? It's all in the legal file. For a lot of people, that's generally going to be something like a divorce decree. Most people don't have a lot of legal action. And so when they do go to court, it's usually for something like that, like a divorce decree. You need that original copy, and you do need to keep that accessible. Yes, I have an electronic copy of it, but if you need to do something official, you're going to need the original. So I keep all of those in one place, all in the legal file. Now, I also have a file that says, I just have it labeled personal, but it's really an identity file. Birth certificates, death certificates, anything like an old passport, anything of that nature that you might have, old driver's license, they all go in that file. They're all there. Should I need to access them? Of course, you can get rid of some of those things. I don't get rid of old passports simply because I only have one old passport. And should I lose my current passport or something happen, I might need that old one. Who knows? But once you get, but I only keep one. So if you've gone through several iterations of your passport, you probably don't need to keep those very old ones, but you do need to keep the current one and probably the previous one just in case, as is a copy of my Social Security card. It's in there too. All of these things are in my identity file. Anything that I might need that proves my identity is in that file. I have one file that says insurance. And so all of my insurance policies are in one place. Rarely do you need to access that policy, but when you do, you will have a copy of it and it's easily accessible. And it doesn't matter if it's for the house or for the car or for our life insurance. It can all be in one file. I have one file for bank statements. And at the end of the year, like I talked about in the last video, it goes into the same envelope as my tax return and all of my tax information. I have one file that says tax information. Anytime I get something in the mail that's going to need to be used to file taxes, I immediately put it in that file. Believe me, I hate hunting for things to file taxes. So I immediately put it in that file. Those year-end statements, even if they're not used to file your taxes, but they're financial, like for your 401k or something like that that you're not withdrawing from, that goes in that file too. When I file my taxes, everything financial, a year-end statement for everything financial, assets that I might have, goes in that envelope. And I keep that envelope for 7 years because it's got my tax return in it. I always keep a printed copy of the tax return in there. Here again, if someone were to come in and just have that file box to go by, they can pull out last year's tax return, that envelope. It will have a copy of every financial statement that I have from every account that I have, as well as all my bank statements. Everything that someone might need to figure out what's going on in my life is all in one envelope. Now, when you think about what kind of box to put things in, this is a big question for a lot of people. I live alone. I just have a plastic file box. It's super simple. It's clear, of course, because y'all know I love clear boxes. It is clear. I have one for personal and one for business. If I had to leave and I only had, 5 minutes, I'd grab my computer, the 2 boxes, and that's my whole life right there. Very easily, quickly. And I would know for a fact that everything was in there. Because I also keep my checkbooks in those boxes that go either for business or for personal. So I never have to worry, oh, I've forgotten something. No, it's all right there. It's super handy. I can be gone in minutes and still have everything that I need and a copy of everything I need to start my life somewhere else if I ever needed to. So it's really convenient. It also helps on your storage space. If you don't have this massive filing system, which honestly, for most things, especially when you get to be semi-retired or retired, you don't need that anymore. There is no reason to have that on a personal level unless you have extensive business interests, in which case, you know what you need already. You don't need me or anybody else to tell you. You've got accountants and lawyers for that. But for those of us who have really scaled down our lives, either in retirement, semi-retirement, or we're preparing to, getting rid of that paperwork hoard is one of the things that we can feel good about. That we can know we have exactly what we need and nothing else. And how you file it, whether it's alphabetically or by subject matter, mine's by subject matter. This is one of those form over function things. And I really go for function. Y'all know that already. But that determines how much space you're going to need. And believe me, just having 2 file boxes that take up very little space on a shelf in a closet is really relieving. There's no stress involved with having some things in a desk and some things in a file cabinet. And then you have some things over here that you're currently working on. And it can just be a nightmare. This is also true if you have a partner who may or may not be super involved in the financial aspect of life, be they male, female, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It is very common for couples to have one person that really handles a lot of the financial stuff, and more so than the other one. And so when you have everything organized and pared down, if something were to happen to you and you're that person who normally handles everything, your partner could come in and easily find what they need or get help with what they need from someone else because it's all organized and in one place. So I hope these tips have helped you. If so, please click subscribe and I'll see you next time.